Hey, welcome to Everyday Economics. This is the podcast that helps you understand the economic world going on all around us. Everyday Economics is brought to you by the Center Square Newswire service. I'm Krug, publisher of the Center Square, and Orphe Divounguy is my partner on the show. He's a PhD economist and all-around good guy. Today is Monday, March 9th, 2026, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the jobs report that came out for February 2026. And you and I've had a chance to take a look at this. You've written about it. Let me kind of frame out what you wrote, and then I got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
So, what you were looking at was really, I guess it simmers down to this core argument that the labor market is clearly stalled. February payrolls fell, revisions were negative. Housing data, you say, will be noisy because of January severe weather, and affordability is improved, but remains far worse than pre-pandemic norms, or what we got accustomed to prior to the pandemic. But the real story is inflation. You said that the February CPI and delayed January PCE reports represent the last clean readings before the Iran conflict and the subsequent, jump in oil prices. Am I on track? I mean, I'm just distilling your work there. Am I in the ballpark?
Totally. I mean, we first had a kind of a lackluster January jobs report that basically showed employment growth has still stalled. In January we had this big jump in job gains that was pretty much erased by a decline in employment of roughly 92,000 in February. So, you figure you take the average of the two and you're back to the story that we started the year with, that we ended the year with, which was basically, no net employment gains for the past year or so. So that's the story in the labor market. Of course, that has implications for how people behave. You don't go out and buy a new house or buy a new car or make long-term decisions when you're not sure, when you're not confident about your future job prospects, right? I don't think many people got a raise this year because of how weak the labor market is, right? Workers' bargaining power has pretty much vanished, and raises were very few in between. Like this year, you just didn't see a big jump in your paycheck. There are fewer job openings than there are unemployed workers, people looking for work. So that's the labor market story right now. And of course, this is before the war. Right. And of course, as a result of the war, we're seeing oil prices soaring right now. That will, of course, pinch household budgets even more, right? And cause consumers to pull back further.
So you describe a scenario where the Fed might face slower growth and rising inflation simultaneously. I don't know that that's wildly off from some of the things that we have been talking about, but it's with that February snapshot. I mean, it's I think we've moved fully away from not to say speculation, but solid prognostication into this could be real. How close are we to a genuine stagflation risk, and how might that change the economic policy playbook going forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a real threat, especially if it lasts and oil continues to hang around or maybe move higher than $100 over the next year, right? The impact on prices will be positive; they will move up. The impact on the labor market, on hiring and aggregate demand will be down, potentially pushing the unemployment rate higher. This is a real threat. This is why I think this conflict really needs to be resolved. Now, you know, on the positive side, right, we got into the conflict with kind of oil had kind of this major glut, right? We had a ton of oil going into the conflict. The US is also somewhat insulated because we are also a major oil producer. But ultimately, global growth is going to slow this year, and we may feel some of that pain as if this conflict lasts.
Well, all right. So let me. I want to ask you about the like an energy price shock, right? I absolutely want to ask you that.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this first. You kind of moved past calling this a cooling labor market. But we've been signaling that. I mean, and I think if you look back at the last, I don't know, probably five months of everyday economics, we've talked about the labor market, and I would say in the last half of the past 5 months that we've been talking about a cooling market.
Yeah.
But you're now describing it as close to stalled. And what is the single indicator within all the data points that you consider where you suggest or that's causing you to suggest that we're now closer from cooling and stalling would be degrees, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, all you have to do is look at where we are. We're basically on zero.
Yeah.
Zero job creation in the past, all of the last quarter of the year.
Right.
We've created no jobs. Some would argue that basically job creation stalled around Liberation Day back in April of 2025. But basically, I look at the chart going back to, look at 2021, 2022, and job gains were moving lower. You look at the 3-month average, it was moving lower, and now we're close to zero. Right? We're hovering around zero, essentially, which is why I call this a stalled labor market. When you're at zero, it takes very little to go to negative.
Right.
And we saw that in the February jobs report.
So last question, I mean, I just trying to put this all together. No, we didn't really have a chance to kind of dive too deeply into the energy price shock, and we can continue on and pick that up, either in the next episode or down the road. If you combine a stalled labor market with an energy price shock and still elevated borrowing costs, with the Fed rate being what it is, what does that do to household spending over the next 2 quarters?
It pushes it down. It pushes it lower.
I mean, are we looking at what could become a profound statistical consumer pullback happening here?
And the consumer's already pulling back.
Okay.
So the war just makes things worse, right? Okay. What does it do when you go to the gas pump and gas prices are rising, right? When you're already facing higher credit card debt, you're falling behind on your car payments. It's a big squeeze on your budget, right? And in fact, our best models, remember, I'm still a macroeconomist, even though I love to call myself a podcaster. Ultimately, the best models point to higher inflation and lower growth. It's a drag on economic growth. And, if you want some estimates, it could go down to 0.4, 0.5 percentage points, right? So, if you had growth at 3%, you see you got growth at 2 point something percent. Growth was already in a low 2% on a year-over-year basis. So, you got growth basically underperforming, trend economic growth.
Well, I appreciate the assessment. Hey, thanks as always, Dr. O. Make sure that you read Orphe's Everyday Economics column every Monday at the Center Square, and listen to what we have to say every weekend on the Center Square Radio Hour.